Okay, so this is a lecture titled Culture, Economics, and the Environment, and something I've not tried before, but it's going to be a good experiment. It's relating indigenous cultures, modern culture, our economic system, and how that is related to environmental issues. So first, before we begin, let's watch a small movie, like a minute-long video. Keep in mind the events that have happened with Earth. Dinosaur extinction. So the reason I showed this was, this is our story right now. What is fundamentally believed, proven by science, evolution of life. So you are the result of about 4 million years of evolution. You're here in this state because our ancestors paved their way through continents, made their way through the ice age, through forests, through oceans, and here we are, evolved, the next stage of human evolution. So, have you ever thought how your ancestors lived, or your past human grandfathers, not even human, what about animal ancestors, apes? How would their lives have been? So before we begin this lecture, let's have a moment of gratitude. You can say something, whatever you want, to yourself, to our ancestors. Anything that comes to your mind. Does everyone have one thing to be grateful for? It could be anything. It could include ancestors. It could include your present life, include your family, food you eat. One thing.
Thankful my ancestors immigrated from Russia.
Russia. Wow.
To yourself.
Now tell your neighbor one thing you're grateful for. Exchange. So we saw the big picture right now, the big picture of how evolution took place, the big picture of how the Earth was formed. What gets left out in this vast history are some of the details. And many of this we don't learn about in Earth science, or like, we learn about it in anthropology, but I don't think any of us are studying that right now. So I wanted to talk about the ethnosphere. Who's heard of the term ethnosphere? Sweet, excellent. That's awesome. I didn't know of it last year. So the atmosphere is like the equivalent of the biosphere, except the biosphere is the sum total of all life that exists on the planet. The atmosphere is the sum total of all cultures, human cultures that have existed for the past millennia and now. So Wade Davis, one of my favorite anthropologists, has this quote saying, as you might think of this as a cultural web of life, the atmosphere you might define as a sum total of all thoughts, dreams, myths, ideas, inspirations, intuitions brought by human consciousness onto the planet. So all of these different cultures, I have some pictures here. These are the San people from the Kalahari Desert. They're the original Bushmen and believed to be among our oldest ancestors, because where did life originate from? What continent? Africa. So San people are believed to be the closest to the roots of that. And Tairona tribe in Brazil, they're an Amazonian Indian tribe. This is the Rendille tribe in Kenya, the Mazatek people. The Mazatek people have their own ceremonies around magic mushrooms. They're one of the first people to have done ceremonies, and we learned from them because Harvard researchers, I think, went to the Mazatek people and got taught about how to use these psychedelic mushrooms. So amazing teachings from each of these cultures. And you might ask, why does this matter? Why do these cultures really matter? Anyone has a good answer? Why is it's just like biodiversity is necessary for resilience of ecosystems? Why is the atmosphere important? Awesome. It's a really good answer. What else?
Globalizations of reality. Some of these tribes may not be here in 50, 100.
We're going to talk about that. Good point. Abby?
We're just saying there's not one right way to do things.
Exactly. Perfect. There's not one right way to do things, and right or wrong can be debated. It's relative to many people. But the fact is, these cultures have lived and evolved in different environments, different places. They have different histories than us. So they know a lot of things we don't. We know some things they don't. So what's happening right now is, we're going to talk more, but it's the loss of these cultures and why that's happening slowly. So indigenous cultural beliefs, I wanted to start off with this instead of end because I think this is really important. So I'm going to talk about my last summer's trip to the Amazon, and this is where I got this information. So how do land rights for indigenous people protect the environment? Anyone has read of land rights or to protect the Amazon rainforest? Indigenous tribes are being granted their rights. And has anyone read or heard about that? Basically, these tribes have been living there for centuries, more than centuries. And now what's happening is because of oil exploration, mining, drilling, their territories are being endangered. So it's becoming, and many of the indigenous tribe youth want jobs, like we all do. So what's happening now is they're actually, the youth is actually inviting the companies to come in and destroy their homes. But what does that mean for their culture? That means it's in loss, it's being endangered. So I wanted to talk about some beliefs they've had and some still have. So many indigenous groups have a place-based identity. Place-based meaning where they are defines who they are. So if they're in the forest is their home. The forest defines them as a people. And many names are named after the forest people, like that translates to that. So without the forest, they could not survive because that's all they've known. And taking that away would mean a major loss to not only people, but also ecological knowledge. So just like this comparison to the forest, we can also talk about the deserts. The deserts are like, villages are being created in Kenya and all that, settlements. So that disturbs the nomadic lifestyle of the Bushmen. So I wanted to show this diagram, ecological versus ecological. So ecological, you can see in that perspective, man is above all species, and we are dominating above the, all species are under us. And ecological meaning we're one part of the web of ecology. We're participants. Yes, we can be caretakers, but we're not dominating. We're not seeing this hierarchy. We're seeing a web of life and respecting each species equally. So, how is our relationship with the earth defined? How is our relationship in our culture? What is it? What do you see the earth as? Planet you live on, a third rock from the sun. How do you how do you see the planet? If any?
It's our home.
It's our home. It's our home.
There's this analogy to spaceship Earth.
Spaceship Earth, exactly. So you can see it as a spaceship. Like we need to protect it. It's our spaceship, shared one. That's really good.
The planet we live on.
Planet we live on. So exactly. Now, indigenous groups, not all, but at least the Amazonian tribes I read about, consider the earth as their mother. Literally, their mother. So what that means is they not only view it, but treat it like a mother too. Like the teachings they provide to their kids, the way their lifestyle is shaped and culture is shaped, it's as if the earth is actually their mother. And I'll talk about that. We'll show a video on that. So respecting elements of nature. So this is a picture taken last year. That's an 80-year-old shaman right here who's providing knowledge on the grass they use to chew and turns their teeth black. And that's like a ceremonial, they have a ritual around that. It's actually a really good essential medicine for the teeth and taking care of the teeth. So throughout history, hunter-gatherers, ancient civilizations have worshipped elements of nature. And by elements, it includes water, wind, sunlight, temple of the sun, temple of water. All those kinds of things were worshipped by not only ancient like Mayan civilization and Aztecs, but also hunter-gatherer tribes for hundreds of years. And why did they do that? Anyone has any idea why they worship these elements?
Because they were necessary for life.
Exactly, they were necessary for life, so they knew the importance of them. What else? That's pretty good. That's awesome. Exactly, they knew they had spirits associated with each of these natural elements. So why do these beliefs matter even if they're false? Why does a belief matter? What if what you believe in is wrong?
It's part of the culture.
Okay, it's part of the culture. What else?
Makes you who you are.
It makes you who you are.
Influences your actions.
It influences your actions. Bingo. That's what I was looking for. It influences your actions. So let's say, so Wade Davis again gives this amazing analogy. You should look him up. I'll send TED Talks. Wade Davis says if one child grew up in Virginia under parents and living in the modern society and was told that the mountain is a pile of rock and has resources to be mined, you can use this rock to build, and it's just for you. It's meant for humans to use. The other child is part of the Native American tribe, and he or she is taught by their parents that the mountain is a sacred place full of spirits. You should respect it, revere it, and pray for the mountain. What will be the difference in their actions?
Not of respect, they show.
Yeah. I mean, one will consider it as a non-living being full of rock and to be mined. One will consider it as sacred, spiritual place, and the action will be completely different. So that's why these beliefs actually matter, and we shouldn't easily dismiss them as being non-scientific. So, the trip taught me a lot. Like, I did a lot of things. I won't go into detail, but one of the main things I learned was these people have an intimate relation with the ecology. By intimate, I mean they know each and every plant. Not only the adults, but even kids running around, they knew this is this plant, I can use it for this, and they learn as they go. It takes a long time for them to learn about the forest, but that's where they live. And how many of us know the local ecology, what plants are around us, what animals are there? I mean, I'm kind of learning, but I don't know. Who else? So you see how connected they are to nature and how disconnected we might be.